Not wearing cheap pieces today, did last time. Arlecchino Star is the last one in, ready to go and off and racing. A little bit of a coming together there with Speziato and Absolute Peach as they came out of the stalls. And as they move down the back straight over this 7 furlong trip for the Unibet Horse Race Betting Operator of the Year Classified Stakes, it's Tollerton Forest that takes them down at a decent pace as well. Arlecchino Star racing together there with Speziato on the outside, and covered up behind them Absolute Peach with on the rail the yellow jacket of Drum Bray Boy. They're moving down the point out of the back straight now with Holliedoyle dictating the affair on Tollerton Forest as they move down the side of the course past the halfway point. Speziato racing in second place. Arlecchino Star being pushed along on the rail. Absolute Peach travelling strongly on that one's outer. And then behind them, Drum Bray Boy, who settled well today, turning into the home straight then. Just 2.5 furlongs now left to cover. And Tollerton Forest now being shaken up by Holly to put this race to bed. She leads them by a length or so. Moving into second now, Drum Bray Boy is just beginning to close the gap slightly on the outside. Absolute Peach, Arlecchino Star on the rail, and then Speziato. A furlong left to cover here, and still Tollerton Forest. But here comes Drum Bray Boy on the outside. Tollerton Forest, though, in no mood to be denied again for the second time in 24 hours. Tollerton Forest and Holliedoyle go on to win for the Craig Lidster team. In second then was Drum Bray Boy. Absolute Peach was third, ahead of Arlecchino Star and Speziato.
For the second time in 24 hours, Tollerton Forest is a winner again. Just like at Wolverhampton yesterday, was able to grab the lead, this time under Holliedoyle, while Drum Bray Boy looked like he might be able to pose some sort of threat, travelling nicely into the contest. Eddie, ultimately, she was too tough in the end.
Yeah, she was never challenged, was she? So we don't really know what she's got when she is. She found plenty for the pressure yesterday. But today, Holly did it the straightforward way, got to the front, dictated her own terms, made sure it was enough of a test. And Drum Bray Boy was ridden differently today and travelled reasonably well in behind. But he was asked to make up a lot of ground, and he couldn't. He could never get on proper terms. But he's come back to some sort of form. Absolute Peach travelled up quite well early in the race and didn't find a great deal, but found more than Speziato, who finished last, and Arlecchino Star, who was ridden at the top of the straight, and they couldn't get on terms with the comfortable winner.
I know we're talking about an extremely modest level of form, but over 2 different distances, 2 different tracks in 2 days, you can give us some credit for that.
Yes, you can. You give her a lot of credit. She was quite an expensive purchase, mind you, 75 grand. So they picked up a couple of tiny races. They'll be pleased with that. She's enhanced her paddock value, but 75 grand still looking enough for a filly who they thought a bit of. Craig Lidster was saying yesterday in an interview after the race that they thought a bit of her, and they'll think a bit more of her after her last two wins, that's for sure. And she might be able to go up in grade and be competitive, but they have been basement races, but she travelled well today and did it in good fashion.
I don't think Speziato going to the left has really changed the complexion of the race. I think Drum Bray Boy was always, as you were noting before, was possible to be held up in that kind of position. I didn't really think there were any hard luck stories.
No, absolutely not. Drum Bray Boy was ridden with the waiting tactics completely the opposite to the last twice, or certainly last time at Linkfield when he went straight to the front, and it worked to a certain extent. But he looked briefly threatening, but just wasn't good enough to get on terms in the final furlong.
And at this point, you're wondering if just like at Wolverhampton yesterday, that she might get the hurry up and how much would be there. But the answer was exactly the same as yesterday. Really, she's had plenty left.
Yeah, if anything, she's won. Well, she has won more easily than she did yesterday, even with the penalty. It's just here where you think Drum Bray Boy might find enough to put in a proper challenge, but he doesn't, and she just holds him all the way to the line, and by the end is well in charge.
When she was third on the 20, she was third on the 29th. She's won just a day ago. She's now won another. I wonder what connections might do with her now. I mean, it's a relatively small amount of racing, as you can hear the rapturous applause from the Racing to School crowd. Holliedoyle, a fan favourite with plenty, and
I think it's Holliedoyle they're cheering more than the horse.
Maybe one day they'll be in tune with the level of classified form and getting excited about these types of races. I wonder if Connections might look for another quick opportunity at some point within the next week, or whether that might be it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Maybe a rest is in order after 3 quick runs and 2 wins.
But it's Tollerton Forest who wins for the second time in 2 days, Rachel.
Yeah, great effort, and the fact that they've brought her back here again after her victory yesterday, and she's done it. She's managed to rise to the challenge. Great stuff. Craig Lidster, Holliedoyle combining with the winner. 10-11, the favourite Tollerton Forest beating Drumbray Boy at 100-30. The winning time was 1:27.50, 2 lengths separating first and second, and that was 3.90 over the standard. So that was our first